Lost Mines of Fandelver. This module is the first one Wizards of the Coast ever released for D&D 5e. This is a classic adventure that takes place in the Sword Coast and is meant for 4 to 5 players. The premise of the adventure is that your party is on the way to rendezvous with an individual by the name of Gundren Rockseeker, who is leading a trip from Neverwinter all the way to the frontier town of Phandalin with a companion in order to reopen up a long-lost mine that they found an entrance for. On the way there, the party begin to encounter some problems with their benefactor being kidnapped, and the entire adventure's goal is to find and rescue Gundren and open up the mines to reap the rewards. You'll be encountering forces who are keen to stop your missing person investigation, along with natural monsters, of course. This is a great module to start your DMing career off with, as it's pretty laid back and guides you through most of it. In terms of new player friendly, I'd say this is my second favorite, Court of the Dragon Queen. This adventure kicks off the Tyranny of the Dragons storyline, and is designed for 4 characters starting at level 1, eventually bringing them up to 8. The story begins in the town of Greenest, which is under siege by a mysterious force of cultists, kobolds, and even a dragon. You quickly get wrapped up in a much larger plot involving the cult of the dragon, a group trying to bring back the powerful dragon goddess Tiamat into the world. Your job after that is to essentially kneecap the cult's operations as much as possible, taking out caravans and finding their lairs. This module reads as adventurers who are racing against the clock in order to prevent a world-ending ritual, the Rise of Tiiamat. This is the direct sequel to Hoard of the Dragon Queen and serves as the second half of the Tyranny of the Dragon storyline. It finishes off the level curve and brings the characters from levels 8 to 15. Picking up right where the last module leaves off, the Cult of the Dragon is closer than ever to completing the ritual to bring Tiamat out of the 9 hells and into the world. At this point, the party is well established as major players on the Sword Coast, and their actions carry serious weight. Much of the adventure revolves around forming alliances with powerful factions like the Harpers, the Lords Alliance, and even Metallic Dragons in an effort to unite against the cult's rising power. Your party will have a hand in participating in high-level meetings and continuing to kneecap the cult's activities. The story builds to a massive final confrontation at a place called the Well of the Dragons, where the cult's ritual is set to take place. This finale culminates into one of 2 conclusions. Either the cult's activities are stopped, or Tiamat is summoned and left to inflict a whole bunch of pain onto the world. Princess of the Apocalypse. This adventure dives into the elemental evil storyline, and is meant for characters starting around level 1, eventually taking them up to 15. If you want to give yourself a faster start, you can skip the intro adventure and dive straight into the main story at level 3. Set into Desserin Valley, the party stumbles upon a series of natural disasters, strange cult activity, and disappearances that hint at something much bigger going on beneath the surface. In this case, quite literally. 4 elemental cults, each devoted to air, earth, fire, or water, have begun to stir, led by prophets who wield incredibly powerful elemental weapons. These cults are each trying to awaken their own destructive elemental prince to reshape the world in their image. The adventure is structured more like a sandbox than a linear story, with players investigating rumors, exploring haunted keeps, and slowly piecing together the threat. It offers a ton of player choice in how they want to tackle the cults and in what order. Out of the Abyss. This adventure is part of the Rage of Demons storyline, and drops your party straight into the chaos from the very start. The campaign rages from levels 1 to 15 and begins with the players imprisoned deep in the Underdark by Drow, with no equipment and no clear way out. This adventure also introduces many other prisoner NPCs that can join your party if they survive the initial breakout. As the party explores, they will find themselves noticing a certain oddness about a lot of people they encounter. Most of the Underdark is beginning to come under the influence of demonic madness, caused by numerous named bosses, such as Orcus or the Demogorgon. The first half of the adventure is finding a way out of the Underdark by traversing multiple underground cities, and the latter half actually has you going back into the Underdark for more, taking out all the bosses who are causing the madness. I ran Out of the Abyss and really like the madness mechanics that they introduced. You actually feel like you're in an unfamiliar landscape, and the more you're down there, the more you lose your sanity. If you buy this one though, be ready to make your own maps for the latter half of the adventure, because for some reason, they don't have any of the battle maps for fights that take place in between boss battles. If you're looking for a fugitive module, this one is for you. Curse of Strod. One of the most beloved and iconic adventures in all of 5e, Curse of Strahd is a gothic horror campaign that drops your party in the mist-surrounded land of Barovia, ruled by the infamous vampire lord Strahd von Zarovich. The adventure starts off at level 1 and goes all the way to 10, but you can start at level 3 if you skip the intro adventure. Beginning with your party being enshrouded by impassable mists and being trapped in the land of Barovia, the main goal of the party is to find weapons and artifacts throughout the lands in order to combat Strahd. The locations of these items are relayed to them via a cryptic tarot card start reading, and the players will have to figure out what they mean as they go. This adventure has numerous locations, bosses, and NPCs that the players may not even get to encounter on their first run, and is one of the best sandbox adventures out there. This adventure is also replayable. Think of it as a roguelike. It's very unlikely for 2 consecutive Curse of Strahd campaigns to be identical, because all of your artifacts will be in different places. Once Strahd is taken out, then the mist will vanish, and you are free at last. Storm King's Thunder is a campaign that throws your party into the middle of a world-shaking crisis involving giants of all kinds. The adventure starts at level 1 and goes up all the way to level 11 or beyond, but there are ways to start at level 5 if you want to skip the intro content. The story begins with the balance of power between the giants collapses. King Hekaton of the Storm Giants has mysteriously vanished, and now other giant factions are running wild across the Sword Coast. Your players will be going from 0 to 100 real quick, helping out against giant attacks and being roped into defending certain key points and battling with various giant bosses. If you want a pure giant-centric adventure, this one's for you. Tales from the Yawning Portal is a collection of classic D&D adventures, compiled into one book and designed to take players from levels 1 all the way to 15. The campaign begins with your party finding themselves at the Yawning Portal, a famous tavern in Waterdeep, where they hear stories of legendary dungeons and monsters from some of the world's most famous adventurers. You can pick and choose which adventures to play, either running them as one-offs or stringing them together into a longer campaign. The cool part about this collection is that it offers a lot of flexibility. Players can jump into different stories depending on their level or preferences, and it's up to you to decide how much of a larger narrative you want to weave into the mix. Tomb of Annihilation is a exotic campaign that takes your party deep into the jungles, starting at level 1 and climbing to level 11 or beyond. The adventure kicks off with a mysterious death curse sweeping the land, causing people to be unable to be healed or brought back to life. The source of this curse is tied to the legendary Tomb of the Nine Gods, located somewhere in the heart of Chult, and your party's goal is to venture into this dangerous and unexplored jungle to put an end to it. Along the way, players will have to deal with what I can only describe as the wasteland of Fallout New Vegas, just in a jungle setting, with both monsters and terrain being against you. The tomb itself is a massive multi-layered dungeon filled with puzzles, a lot of puzzles, among some traps and combat encounters as well. This adventure is pretty high risk and features a heavy focus on survival, exploration, and resource management, as the jungle and tomb can be just as deadly as the enemies you face. I'd definitely say if you're okay with losing your character from time to time, give this a shot. It does punish mistakes a lot. Waterdeep Dragon Heist is a city-based adventure that focuses more on intrigue, investigation, and social encounters than a traditional dungeon crawl. Starting at level 1 and progressing to level 5, this adventure has your party navigating the metropolis of Waterdeep to uncover a hidden treasure worth a staggering fortune, only to find that they're not the only ones searching for it. The campaign is full of colorful NPCs and criminal factions as the party works their way through the city's underbelly. What's really cool about Dragon Heist is that it's designed to be played across 4 different seasons, each with its own unique set of villains and challenges. Whether you face off against a ruthless crime lord, an eccentric noble, or a group of powerful wizards, the treasure hunt keeps players on their toes. It's also highly replayable because each season offers a different feel and you can try out different approaches with each playthrough. Dungeon of the Mad Mage picks up right after Dragon Heist left off and takes your party deep into the depths of the Undermountain, one of the most feared dungeons in the Forgotten Realms. Starting at level 5 and progressing to around level 20, this adventure is one long dungeon crawl through an endless series of twisting corridors, ancient vaults, and monster-filled chambers. The dungeon is ruled by the mad wizard Halaster Blackcloak, whose erratic behavior has shaped the dungeon over centuries, leaving behind powerful artifacts, traps, and bizarre creatures. The deeper your party goes, the more insane and dangerous the dungeon becomes. Each level of the Undermountain presents its own theme, from elemental forces to twisted reflections of the world above. This adventure is perfect for groups that love combat, exploration, and solving dungeon puzzles. It's a straight-up dungeon delving experience with plenty of high-stakes encounters and secrets to uncover. Keep in mind, it can be very challenging, and the farther you go, the more deadly it becomes, so keeping yourselves topped up on supplies is a must. If you only want a dungeon crawl experience, this is the one for you. I personally ran this a while back, and while I can see the appeal for it, it's just not my style. Hunt for the Tessle Hydra is a shorter adventure designed for a one-shot or a brief campaign, suitable for characters starting at levels 3 to 4. The story revolves around a multi-headed beast called the Tessle Hydra that has been rampaging through the local countryside, destroying villages and instilling fear in the region. The creature is a twisted hybrid of a Hydra and a Tessle, and is a nightmare that local villages can can no longer withstand. The party is called upon to track down the legendary monster, stopping it before it causes further devastation. This adventure was actually part of a Stranger Things collaboration. If you're looking for a one-shot campaign, this is pretty much the first official one they've released. Ghosts of Saltmarsh is a nautical-themed campaign that brings your party into the coastal town of Saltmarsh, where strange happenings and an old rivalry between smugglers and the local authorities threaten to tear the town apart. The adventure starts at level 1 and can take players all the way up to level 12. The story is split into multiple smaller adventures, each involving a different mystery or threat around Saltmarsh and its surrounding waters. The adventure also introduces factions and politics, where you get to either pick a favorite from all of the factions to work with, or, on the other hand, you get to play them all for fools. The module introduces sea exploration, which is not very common in many modules, and puts an emphasis on investigation to try and find the root cause of the problems in the town. If you're keen on a little bit of piracy, pick this one. Dragons of Icespire Peak is another intro module which takes place between levels 1 to 7. This adventure is based in the same region that the Lost Mines of Fandelver is, on the Sword Coast. But in my opinion, it is the most classic start you can get for any D&D party. Meeting in the Fanddelver Tavern, the adventurers take up job board quests to get more equipment and money in order to take down a white dragon by the name of Cryovane, who is terrorizing the lands. This adventure is a pretty good sandbox game with multiple adventures that the creators provide you based on the level of the party, with each level having at least 2 adventures to choose from. I'd actually put this module over Lost Mines of Fandelver in terms of how both new player and new DM friendly they are. Baldur's Gate Descent to Avernus is a campaign that takes your party from levels 1 to 13, throwing them into a world of infernal conflict. The adventure starts in the city of Baldur's Gate, where tensions between factions are escalating and corruption is running rampant. But things take a shocking turn when the city is drawn into the first layer of the 9 hells, Avernus, in a catastrophic event. The city is slowly being pulled into hell itself, and your party must figure out how to stop this descent into eternal damnation. As the party ventures into Avernus, they encounter infernal armies, ancient devils, and the aftermath of the Hell Riders, a legendary group of knights who fought against the devilish forces centuries ago. Their mission is to stop a diabolical plot involving the archdevil Zariel, who once led a celestial army but was ultimately corrupted and turned into the ruler of Avernus. Zariel is determined to wage war against forces of good, and her influence is turning the land of Avernus into a blood-soaked battlefield. The party will interact with various factions in Avernus, including devils who seek to use them as pawns, and celestials who offer their help in exchange for favors. One of the unique features of this adventure is the use of infernal war machines, devil-driven vehicles that the players can use to travel across the hellish wastelands, helping them navigate perilous terrain. The campaign offers players the opportunity to explore iconic locations such as the River Styx, the Lost Dungeon of Wickedness, another one-shot adventure done with collaboration of the Rick and Morty series. Designed for characters from levels 1 to 3, your party is tasked with venturing into the Lost Dungeon, where they'll face an array of unusual challenges, traps, and enemies. A significant aspect of the adventure is its humor. The dungeon is designed to be a lighter, more relaxed experience compared to the typical hack-and-slash dungeon crawl. The overarching goal is to uncover the truth behind Rickard's reason why he created such a bizarre place and what secrets it holds. Icewindendale, Rime of the Frostmaiden is a sandbox adventure that takes players from levels 1 to around level 12. Set in the icy, isolated region of Icewindendale in the far north of Faerun, this adventure begins with a land locked in an endless winter, cursed by the frozen goddess Auril, and the 10 town settlements are slowly descending into desperation. Your party arrives just as things are at their worst, and it's up to them to uncover the truth behind the unnatural cold and put an end to the everlasting night. The campaign begins with the players taking on smaller quests across the various 10 towns, earning the trust of locals and getting the lay of the frozen lands. They get to investigate mysterious disappearances and battle cold-themed monsters. As they progress, the party begins uncovering clues pointing to Auril herself, who resides on a desolate island fortress in the Sea of Moving Ice, and the larger mystery involving a crashed netherese city buried under the glacier. This adventure puts a heavy emphasis on the environment's temperature, dishing out consequences for not being properly geared up to face the elements. If you're looking to have the player's surroundings play a big role in this game, then pick this module. Candlekeep Mysteries is a unique anthology-style adventure book made up of 17 short, self-contained mysteries, each one centered around a strange and magical book found within the Fortress Library of Candlekeep. These adventures are designed for characters ranging from levels 1 to 16 and can either be dropped into an ongoing campaign or run as one-shot mysteries for rotating cast of players. The framing device is simple but effective. Each story begins with a book that contains a hidden mystery, which the party is drawn into the moment they start investigating. Each adventure has its own theme and vibe to it, and it's similar to Tales of the Yawning Portal. I'll be doing a future video describing all the anthology modules in depth, as well as the standalone ones. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight is a Feywild-based adventure that takes place from levels 1 to 8, and it's a massive shift in tone compared to the more traditional gritty D&D campaigns. The adventure begins in the material plane at the mysterious Witchlight Carnival, a traveling magical fair that appears once every 8 years, and this time it is your ticket into the Feywild. The carnival itself is more than just an opening scene. It is a sandbox full of games and secrets. But the real story kicks off when the party steps through the veil into Prismeer, a domain of delight in the Feywild that has fallen under the shadow of the Hourglass Coven. 3 hags who have split the realm into twisted fragments of what it used to be. Each individual hag rules one section, and the players must explore these regions to restore balance and uncover the truth behind the Coven's rise to power. This adventure stands out for being entirely completable without combat. You can talk, sneak, charm, or puzzle your way through the entire thing. It's an excellent pick for roleplay heavy groups who love social interaction and problem solving over rolling initiative. But that doesn't mean it's light on content. There's still dangerous encounters. It's just a matter of if your party is good enough to avoid them. Critical Role Call of the Netherdeep is the first full-length campaign adventure set in the world of Exandria, the same setting as Critical Role's popular live streams. Designed for characters from levels 3 to 12, this story takes place on an epic journey across the continents of Wildmount and Marquette. The adventure kicks off in the city of Jigao, where the party starts by participating in a local festival and eventually gets roped into a vision from the long-forgotten hero of one of their gods, asking the party to save him. As the story escalates, the party travels across Wildmount and Marquette to the aquatic city of Kael Moro, an ancient ruin, long forgotten, where the culmination of the adventure starts there. This module introduces an interesting mechanic into the game, a rival party. With 5 NPCs that have their own motivations, you can challenge your party or help them with these characters, but that all depends on how the characters treat their rivals, with them being hostile or friendly based off their own experiences interacting with your party. Journeys Through the Radiant Citadel is an anthology of 13 standalone adventures designed for characters from levels 1 to 14. Unlike traditional campaigns that follow one central plot, this book is a collection of thematically diverse stories, each rooted in the traditions, myths, and inspirations of real-world cultures, but reimagined through a fantastical lens. What ties them all together is a magical hub city that floats within the ethereal plane, acting as a sanctuary, trade center, and launching point for the multiverse-spanning journeys within the book. Each adventure starts with these magical gems that connect the Radiant Citadel to some far-off lands. Through these gems, the party can be transported to a new world entirely, and each destination has its own unique lore, tone, and gameplay experience. Dragons of Stormwreck Isle is a beginner-friendly adventure designed to take characters from levels 1 to 5. The adventure begins with the party arriving on Stormwreck Isle, a mysterious land with ties to the legacy of dragons and an ancient conflict between metallic and chromatic bloodlines. The party is brought here for their own reasons, personal quests, a call for aid, or simply by coincidence, whatever y'all decide, and quickly finds themselves embroiled in the island's problems. As the players explore the island, they'll encounter key NPCs at a monastery dedicated to peace between dragonkind and mortals. From there, the party can branch out into different quests across the island. Light of Xeroxs is a module that is literally just D&D but in space. Designed for levels 5 through 8, it deals with threats of a cosmic proportion. The story begins with an immediate crisis. Your homeworld is suddenly under attack by crystalline vines that erupt from the sky and begin draining the planet's life. You're thrown into action almost immediately, and soon discover that the source of the devastation is an alien empire. To save your world, the party must leave the planet aboard a Spelljammer ship and embark on a fast-paced quest through wild space to uncover allies and ultimately put a stop to a universe-wide conquest. Dragonlands Shadow of the Dragon Queen brings Dungeons & Dragons back to the legendary world of Krynn, where the war between mortals and the dragon armies of the dark goddess Tekissis, also known as Tiamat, threatens to plunge the realm into chaos. This campaign is a blend of high fantasy and wartime storytelling, where your party becomes swept up in the early days of the War of the Lands. It's designed for characters from levels 1 to 11 and plays like a mix between epic fantasy and military drama. The adventure begins in the quiet town of Vogler, a peaceful fishing village that's about to be caught in the path of a full-blown invasion. After taking part in a funeral, the party quickly learns that the war has arrived on their doorstep. The Red Dragon Army, a faction loyal to Tekissis, is advancing fast and burning villages, conscripting prisoners, and raising undead forces with the help of dark priests and twisted magic. From the moment the fighting starts, the tone of the campaign is serious and urgent. This is my all-time favorite campaign to run, just because of how perfect the balance of guidance and freedom it provides the DM. Instead of the read aloud text being something you can paraphrase when talking as an NPC, It gives you bullet points to hit on, and you interpret for yourself how to relay that information to the players. It also has a great amount of choices for sandbox that it offers the players, with a lot of optional places to go, and there's content that some parties will never even hit if they aren't attentive. If you're into wartime stories, I would 100% recommend this module. I didn't even know this was a book series until I had players joining my game that actually read the books. Tyranny of Dragons is a 2-part campaign that brings together 2 linked adventures, Hoard of the Dragon Queen and Rise of Tiamat, spanning levels 1 to 15. This campaign takes your players from humble beginnings all the way to leading armies and confronting a literal god. The campaign kicks off in the town of Greenest, which is under siege by the Cult of the Dragon, a group of fanatical worshippers who believe the world should be ruled by undead dragons and Tiamat herself. The cult is working with chromatic dragons and gathering treasure across the Sword Coast as offerings to power a dark ritual that will bring Tiamat out of the 9 hells and into the material plane. Your party begins by chasing down the cult, uncovering their plans, infiltrating their ranks, and slowly realizing just how massive the threat really is. The second half of the campaign ramps things up into full war mode. Your players become representatives in a global council, making decisions that affect nations while still heading into dungeons and battling dragon lieutenants to delay Tiamat's arrival. The ending culminates in a massive multi-scale assault where the cult's ritual is about to be completed, and where the players must face down the 5 heads of Tiamat herself, or stop her from entering the world altogether. Keys from the Golden Vault is a collection of 13 heist-themed adventures designed for characters from levels 1 to 11. Unlike a traditional campaign with a single linear storyline, this anthology leans into episodic, high-stakes mission, something like Ocean's 11 or Mission Impossible, but in a fantasy setting. Each adventure revolves around breaking into a secure location, stealing or recovering something important, and getting out before everything goes sideways. What connects the adventures, if you choose to link them that is the mysterious Golden Vault, a secretive organization that sends magical briefings to trustworthy adventuring parties through enchanted music boxes. Whether your players are master thieves or simply in it for the gold, the Golden Vault provides just enough structure to tie the missions together while still giving you room to make it your own. Each heist is set in a totally different environment. You'll break into prisons, infiltrate a giant's forge, steal from the traveling circus, and of course you'll have a classic casino heist. Every adventure comes with a detailed map, multiple infiltration points, shifting guards, social encounters, and complications that kick in mid-heist to raise the tension. Some missions are stealthy, others are explosive. Each has unique twists that force players to plan carefully and think on their feet. What's great about Keys from the Golden Vault is how much player choice and creative problem solving it encourages. This isn't just kick down the door and roll initiative. It's about casing the joint, reading NPCs, timing your moves, and deciding how far you're willing to go to get the job done. I personally had a lot of fun running these adventures, and even came up with my own heist jazz playlist to play in the background once everything goes off the rails. Fandelver and Below, the Shattered Obelisk, is an adventure that builds on the iconic Lost Mines of Fandelver from the original starter set. This module expands the lore and depths of the Fandelver region, turning what was once a simple mining town into a sprawling underground adventure. Designed for characters leveled 1 to 12, the story picks up after the events of the original Fandelver adventure, as the players are drawn back into the area by rumors of a mysterious artifact tied to an ancient elven prophecy. The once peaceful town of Fandelver is now under the threat of various factions seeking to harness power of the long-forgotten Obelisk, a relic from an age-long past. The Obelisk itself holds secrets to unlocking vast magical power, and its discovery is the key to uncovering a deeper, world-altering mystery. Turn of Fortune's Wheel focuses on the characters correcting a multiversal glitch affecting them and the whole of the Outlands. The adventure begins with the characters awakening in Sigil, untethered from their lives and memories due to this unprecedented error in reality. During the adventure, the characters discover the city of Sigil and meet the Arcanoloth information broker, Shemeshka. The characters must track down a missing Modron carrying dangerous information. This leads characters on a tour of the Outlands, with the additional goal of recording their impressions of the plane using a Mimir, a magical skull-shaped recording device. Vecna Eve of Ruin is a high-level adventure designed for characters starting at level 10 and climbing all the way to level 20. It is a plane-hopping storyline where the infamous Lich God Vecna is enacting a plan to unmake the multiverse itself. Your party is recruited by powerful allies to stop Vecna's reality-shattering ritual. Along the way, you'll travel across iconic realms such as Ravenloft, Spelljammer Space, Eberron, and even the 9 Hells. This module is one of the most ambitious D&D adventures yet, and it's one of the few ones that actually takes your characters to level 20. If you're looking for an endgame campaign, Eve of Ruin is your ticket. Quest from the Infinite Staircase is an anthology-style adventure that brings together 6 classic D&D modules, all reimagined for 5th edition, and connects them through a magical hub known as the Infinite Staircase. The staircase is a cosmic cosmic nexus that links countless worlds and is overseen by a genie-like being named Nefas, who sends your party on missions across time and space to help those in desperate need. Each quest has its own unique flavor, ranging from dungeon crawls to investigations to full-blown battles against legendary foes. Designed from levels 1 to 13, this book offers a mix of standalone adventures and loose overarching story, making it great for groups that enjoy variety or want to explore different corners of the multiverse. Thank you for watching. I'll be doing a deep dive into each and every one of these campaigns in future videos. And to whoever's still watching, have yourselves a good one.